Football Manager 26 has finally landed, and after that year-long breather so that Sports Interactive could pull their socks up, we've been promised the lot: a shinier match engine, a sleeker UI, and even women's football thrown into the mix for those of you who love the women's game. But the question is this: do any of these changes make a blind bit of sense? So put the kettle on, grab a cuppa, and let's go full Alan Hansen in today's review. I'll be straight with you people, I'm what you'd call a casual Football Manager player. I pick one up every couple of years or so, have my little fix, then wait for the next big update that promises to reinvent football as we know it. I'm not the type though to micromanage training sessions, nurture the youth team, or decide which unknown left back gets loaned out to Tranmere Rovers for a year of disappointment. The beauty of Football Manager though is that you can play it your way. For me, it's all about match days, press conferences, player tantrums, and of course a cheeky transfer window on some unknown kid who I hope will be the next Gareth Bale. So why mention any of this? Because I'm reviewing this one from the casual gaffer perspective. If you're one of those hardcore spreadsheet managers who knows the wage bill of every under 19 in Europe, this review might not be for you. You'll probably be laughing at half the shit that I say. And so it is a bloody shame then, because I've got to kick things off by slating this new user interface. Honestly, it's a load of old bollocks, like someone's tried to reinvent the wheel only to bolt it on sideways. Everything here feels back to front. Football Manager has always been a data monster. You basically need a maths degree just to keep up with half the stats that it chucks at you. The real challenge for the devs has always been how to turn that chaos into something logical. One drop down flowing neatly into the next, each click taking you deeper into the info that you actually want. The best UI does it in 2 clicks flat. Clean layout, clear fonts, colours that don't require you going for the paracetamol. And yeah, I know it sounds like I'm losing my marbles over a menu screen, but this is the game. You live in these menus for absolute hours, and if they're confusing or clunky, it's like trying to manage a football club through a letterbox. And so we get to the so-called portal page, where someone's clearly gone, I know, let's cram every single bloody thing onto one screen and call it genius. But instead, it's utter chaos. Every box a different size, half the text squeezed in like a shit Foden haircut, and all of it screaming for attention. Take that calendar for starters. All I want to see here are my fixtures. What I don't need are tiny little icons showing when the lads fly out or when they're doing laps at training. But then, top right hand corner, there's another fixture list. So why in the name of Tony Yeboah are we seeing the same bloody thing twice? And it gets better, or worse depending on how many beers you've had, because these matches box here is showing my next big game, even though it's already sitting in the fixture list top right. Then there's the stages tab, so massive it could fit Big Sam's ego in it, yet half of it is just dead space. And the news tab, don't get me started lads, I don't see the need for it to state the obvious that the article is about the men's Arsenal team. I've been around long enough to recognise a club badge and agenda even looking at the silhouette. And why does it tell me that the news is 8 hours and 45 minutes old? What am I, a forensic journalist? But the real kicker though, the scouting reports. I've sent out half a dozen scouts, they come back saying job done, but not who they scouted. So now I'm clicking through every report like a mug, trying to remember who it was that I was actually interested in. Now, some of these problems happened from the previous Football Manager games, but you would think these are the actual areas that they would look to improve upon. And maybe I'm losing it, but this new portal page is meant to be the big selling point, and it's a proper dog's breakfast. Wasted space in some areas, cluttered nonsense in others, and because it's all static, no animations, no polish, nothing to draw you in, you just end up staring into a dull sea of text like an accountant who's lost the will to live. And before I wrote that last rant, by the way, I went digging for proof. I booted up Football Manager 2015 just to see what a decade of progress actually actually looks like. And honestly, I was gobsmacked. That old UI, it was clean, it was simple, it was logical. Text laid out properly, no faff, no wasted space. Down the left, your big topics. Across the top, your sub-tabs. Job done. The colour contrast also popped, it felt alive, and above all, it made sense. So explain this to me. How does Sports Interactive look at that from a decade ago and go, yeah, let's make it uglier and harder to use? 10 years on, and somehow they've managed exactly that. Now sure, some of you might love this, and maybe it's the TikTok generation thing with shorter attention spans and a fetish for chaos, but for me, FM 2015 absolutely wipes the floor with this. It's everything a management sim interface should be: functional, readable and classy. Sometimes less really is more, and I'm left wondering what on earth they've been doing all this time. Now before we actually get to the match engine, let's talk gameplay, and thankfully it's still got that ridiculous level of depth we've come to expect. You can tweak, tinker and torment your players in every way imaginable. In possession tactics, out of possession tactics, set pieces, press intensity, it's all there. Signing players is still tough, but also rewarding, especially when you're dealing with that tight-fisted twat Daniel Levy, who would try and save a tenner on some tea bags. You're still juggling press conferences, locker room meltdowns and board expectations, and it's easy to see why Football Manager became the juggernaut that it now is. There's still nothing else quite like it if you want to live the life of a modern manager. But here's the big problem: it just doesn't feel new anymore. Take those press conferences, for example. In an age where AI can write Shakespeare or scam your nan, how is it that these dialogue options still sound like they were scribbled on a napkin in 2010? Every line feels forced, robotic, like a parody of real football chat. And the more I think about it, I'm not even sure AI did write them, because honestly, an algorithm would probably do a better job. I've seen these exact lines recycled for years. The same goes for player interactions. Nobody sounds like their real life counterpart. They're all just beige, soulless drones. Now I get you can't model tens of thousands of personalities one to one, but come on lads, bucket them into types. Give us 50 shades of football egos, moody prodigy, arrogant star, quiet professional, that sort of thing. Instead, they all sound like twats reading cue cards, and it kills the immersion no end. Then we come to that match engine, and honestly, I just felt whelmed. Not blown away, not furious, just somewhere in that dull middle ground where your pulse never changes. Yeah, there are upgrades of course, the graphics are cleaner, the crowd is a bit more varied, and the animations, I'll give it to them, they are the best they've ever been. So is it the best looking match engine in Football Manager history? Of course it bloody is, but that's like saying you'd rather give a gob job to Donald Trump over Joe Biden. There's no real winner there. After all this time, after that extra year delay, I just expected a bit more. Players still move like they're running through soup. Passing, it still feels too floaty, too awkward, and every other match has some ridiculous wonder goal that defies logic. That stuff was charming back in the day when this engine first made its mark, but now it just looks and feels tired. And that's the problem, it just doesn't look or feel like football. There's no grit, no emotion, no tension, just a bunch of blokes going through the motions. It's lifeless, and that really is a kicker. And for me, there is one area where Football Manager desperately needs to reinvent itself, and yeah, this is going to wind a few of you purists up, but I'm going to say it is the sound. Because, well, there isn't any sound. It's silent. No clicks, no music, no atmosphere, no feedback to what is actually going on. It's just you and your own thoughts in this lonely spreadsheet. Alright, I guess technically there is a bit of crowd noise during matches, but it sounds like it was recorded on a Nokia 3210 near a local airport. It's proper lo-fi, completely soulless, that has that continual irritating sound and hum to it. Now I know what most of you do. You've got YouTube open, maybe a Spotify playlist running in the background, and you're as happy as pig in shit whilst managing Wrexham to European glory, and that's fine. That option should stay and be available to you. But imagine this instead. press conferences that are fully voiced, the click of cameras, the buzz of reporters, the distortion of a mic when someone leans in too close. On match day, crowds that actually react, a roar when you score, a groan when you fluff it, proper drama for VAR calls, chants that are actually related to your club. Hell, the script for commentary already exists here. Get someone to read it with a bit of passion. Add that energy, that life, that chaos that football so deserves. Imagine how dramatised these extended highlights could actually be. You see, Football Manager has survived for decades doing what it does best, and fair play, but it's time for a proper evolution. If I were Sports Interactive, this is exactly where I'd start, but you just know the risks of doing something that crazy to the devs would give them a heart attack at night. They have a formula, they're going to stick to it, but it's that thinking that can also kill franchises. And so, Football Manager 26 is a proper so-so game. It took a year off to fix its problems, yet somehow managed to come back worse in many places, especially that god-awful UI. It beggars belief that anyone looked at that chaotic pile of data vomit and thought, yep, that'll help the people navigate. Every screen here, it looks like a PowerPoint project gone rogue. Rounded boxes slapped everywhere like an intern's first day at work. Football Manager needs love, and the annoying bit is this, it wouldn't even take that much. Some dynamic menus here and there, a bit of movement, maybe a bit of light catching your club crest, better avatars, even a batch of sound to breathe some life into it. But no, we are never going to see it. There are too many stubborn old sods at the top, still convinced this is perfection. And yeah, it still is the best football management sim that money can buy. But it's also the only football management sim that money can buy. And when you're the only player in the league, you're always going to be the winner. But in this case, you're always going to be the loser too. Until next time, my lovelies, love to you all. Reggie out.